Alright, it was just announced that Denis Villeneuve is going to be the director of the next James Bond. This could be the greatest news you heard about the new direction of the Bond franchise.
Hell yes.
Or the worst piece of news you've heard about the direction of the Bond franchise, depending on how this breaks. Denis Villeneuve is a visual god-tier master. If you say his movies don't look good, that makes you the biggest liar pants on fire ever. I thought the Dune movies were overrated, but I'd be damned if I said those movies didn't look good. This could be the best looking Bond film since Skyfall. And if you don't think Skyfall was one of the best looking Bond movies, your brain is running on iOS -3. You fell down the dumb tree and hit every branch on the way up. Denis Villeneuve also understands tension. Sicario and Prisoners is a masterclass in suspense, and it's that kind of thing that can elevate James Bond's espionage angle. Especially if Denis tones down the sci-fi navel-gazing. But then, he could give Bond fans what they've been demanding for 4 decades now. Moonraker 2. Villeneuve says he grew up with Bond, and he calls the franchise sacred. And that makes me hopeful that he can restrain himself from turning 007 into an existential art film protagonist who happens to sigh more than he bangs. Because what this franchise needs is to get away from that stupid shit. But the news is not perfect, at least not for me. If I'm an honest man, I was hoping for Guy Ritchie to get the job. I think he's perfect for it, especially after Man from U.N.C.L.E. And if Guy Ritchie did get the job, you knew for a fact that Henry Cavill was going to be the star.
You seem to find Coin pretty charming yourself.
Also, this feels like a continuation of Craig's Bond, where we're going to get a sad, mopey James Bond having an existential crisis while playing with his laser watch, but it won't work because the tears just keep putting out the laser beam. Denis Villeneuve is a master at existential dread. In Bond, he's a master of martinis, murder, one-liners, and banging supermodels.
Time to face destiny. Time to face gravity.
Real talk for just one moment. Denis Villeneuve is an overrated director. Hot take. I think Dune 1 and 2 were some of the most boring sci-fi films ever made, and Arrival is a shit-tier worthless movie. Watching both of them feels like you're studying for the SATs. And sure, they both got great sound design and great scale, but when I'm watching Bond, I want velocity, not lectures. And in some of his movies, his dialogue could go straight up its ass, like the characters have been coached by a philosophy professor with insomnia. His movies have a ton of pacing issues. Case in point, Dune Part 2 moved like it was edited in molasses by a guy on Ambien, and as soon as the Ambien wore off, he went, oh shit, we have an ending to do, and crammed about an hour's worth of movie inside 20 minutes. As Denis' career has gone further down the road, his movies tend to get longer and longer, which you can argue is a necessary thing for certain ones. Denis going to need to make sure that Bond's pacing doesn't feel like meditative essays on the human condition. They need to move quick, and they need to move in a tight 2 hours. Also, when I think of a Denis Villeneuve movie, I'm not thinking, oh shit, let's go have some fun. He doesn't really do jokes or quips or one-liners, and if he does do a joke, they fall into the tragic category. So if he can't bring back the smooth, playful Bond, even just a little, we're looking at another Craig era snooze fest in a tux. So all I'm asking for from Denis, please do not extend the Craig era. Now I'm not going to totally shit on the idea of Denis Villeneuve directing the next James Bond, because like I said, it could swing either way. He said he wants to honor Bond, I'm going to give it to him. He called it sacred territory, that's good. He knows the tone just can't be Dune with cufflinks. And as many problems as I have with Blade Runner 2049, I still think it was a good movie that really locked down the Blade Runner aesthetic. So with that being said, if he wanted to do like a Brosnan era or even a Connery era aesthetic, he could get away with it. I completely trust him bringing that look and feel. I think he's got the visual skill to match anything he wants to. And we could get something truly iconic, but only time will tell. We'll see who he casts. Can I sit here and say this is a bad decision? No, not at the moment. Why? Because 90% of directing is casting. That will be the make or break moment. So if he nails the new Bond with someone who can carry it with all the style, danger, charisma, and can believably bang supermodels, you know, like, let's just say off the top of my head, he casts Henry Cavill, then Villeneuve just became the guy who saved the Bond franchise. But I swear to God, if he casts Zendaya as a Bond girl, it's the end of the franchise as we know it. Do yourself a favor, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more of my award-winning personality to fix your day. Not that I care about it or anything, but I got you. I'm out of here.